I want to. Last week I finished. I was in a rush, and I said over a story at the end, and people asked me afterwards. So I mentioned. I want to just clarify the story. Let me just repeat. Someone asked me that he does computer work, and the guy hasn't paid him over $35,000. It's a large amount, and he just wasn't paying him. So he asked me he could remotely, from his home, I don't know how this is going to work, but the people know how to do it. I could do something to his computer, and he tells me I know exactly what's going to happen. I'm going to be able to freeze the computers. So if Monday morning they come in, they're going to be hours. No one's going to be working. It's 120 people working in the company, and he's going to call a geek, and he's not going to. We're going to do in the end a few hours. He's going to call me, and I'm going to say I'm only coming if you give me a cashier's check. Then I'm coming in. Otherwise, I'm not coming in. You owe me the $30. So he asked me if I was allowed to do it. And I checked and I spoke to all the experts, and I couldn't see a reason why not. So everyone was shocked. How can you go into someone else's thing? See, let me explain something. Explain in Cheshire Mishpat. Someone owes you money. He doesn't want to pay you. You're not allowed to take the law into your hands. You can't go say, no. The only time you're allowed to take the law into your hands is when the object of yours is by someone. Your bike is there. Your whatever it is, he's holding on to it and doesn't want to give it to you. You're allowed to break the door down and pick it up. But if just because he owes you money, you have to call him Dintayra. But here, he's only causing him hagruma. Gruma means that I'm causing him a loss. That he's going to do something which a guy is not going to be able to work with the computers, and he's going to have to pay him. And causing an hagruma in order to guy to pay you, you're allowed to do.
Even though you're breaking it,
we're not. Yeah, but you're not breaking in. You know.
Yeah, you are breaking it.
No, you're not. This is not. I didn't walk through the door. I hacked in. I don't know, but you didn't walk into the door. And halacha is you got to walk inside.
Is it like going to someone's office building, putting a lock on it that only you're going to be able to open?
Yeah, you're allowed to. If the only way, exactly. If the only way you could get paid, you're allowed to do that. That's called a gruma.
Even if you're being a masik and causing damage.
There's no damage. Just people are not going to be working. It didn't cause damage.
120 people.
Yeah, well, he could have a choice to call him up immediately. He says, I know the guy. The guy, that's why I stopped working for him. Every time there's a small trouble, he doesn't want to pay me, and he calls a geek, and that's why I'm not being paid. It's a year's time. He just ignores my phone calls. Now, anyways.
That's like saying you can't go to the mikveh and take the guy's car keys and hide them, then he can't leave.
Who says you can't do that? If the guy owes you money, yeah, you're not allowed to take out of his hand, but if he puts down, I've told this to people, a guy of my neighborhood, a Chassidish guy owes money, so I told him to take the shtramel.
What I'm saying is he's not paying it, he's taking his car keys and hiding them.
Same thing?
Serious business.
Anything? In halacha, it's a very, very frightening. I don't know why. I think we didn't learn Hilchos Avot and Cheshire Mishpat here. A little bit. But I want to repeat this again. In Hilchos Avot, there's a famous machlekes, the Elchonon and the other achreinim. That means there's a din that a person took a loan, he has to pay the guy with everything that he has. He has to sell. He has 2 pairs of pants. He has to keep one. He's got to give your wife's jewelry. Got to give everything to pay a loan. The most achronim learn that's a din in Bezdin. You have to go into Bezdin, and Bezdin has to do this whole thing. The Rav holds it's not a din in Bezdin. You are obligated to pay on your own, sell everything that you have, and sell even your wife's bed, and even everything you got to sell. The only thing you're allowed to keep is yourself a bed, and 1 shirt, 1 pair of pants, 1 pair of socks.
And have
food for your.
For himself for 30 days.
For 30 days.
And for the wife, no food.
For 1 day, no?
Nope, no food. Because her chayv is chal tomorrow. His chayv was chal old chayv. Your wife, feeding your wife
Food for your wife for that day, no?
today.
Yeah.
Yeah, but tomorrow not.
Money go to work.
Yeah. I was just saying that people don't realize. People think that if people have an attitude today. I watch this all the time. I owe him money. Well, when I win the lottery and I went on vacation, someone showed me a cartoon like this. I win the lottery and I went on vacation. I did all my things that I really wanted to do, and if some money left, I'll pay my chayvus. I'll pay my debts. The truth is, you gotta do everything in the world, not to pay that. That person has a right to say to you that I don't mind. I'll wait 10 years. Doesn't make a difference. That he has a right. The guy says, I'm not interested in waiting. You have to give everything. You have to do everything in the world to pay the guy. No, the people.
But being able to take the law into your own hands in this case, is that only if the guy, the labor admits that he owes the money, he just doesn't answer and pay him? Or what if he says he owes me $35,000 in this case, and the guy says, no, I don't really owe him, I didn't like the job he did, whatever.
Well, whenever a person asks me, all the time this happens, I always tell them there's two sides to every story. Cannot answer you. But this guy was asking a different question. Not if he has to pay. Guy owes me money. So I said, if you know he owes you money, he hasn't paid you, you're allowed to do it. If he does owe you money, then.
The other guy has to admit that he owes the money.
See, he doesn't have to come to me admit. You are doing the mazik, you have to make sure that the guy really owes you the money. That's it.
But what if you hurt the other guy's parnasa? So
Yeah, he did. He did hurt him.
Okay, so
100.
now
What happened? The
what
end
did he
was he did it. He told me what he did. For 2 hours, he was trying to have someone to fix it, and finally and he said, "I'm not coming till I'll have a cashier's check, and I go to the bank, and I'll come to you." The guy paid him. If you didn't know Saul, if he didn't owe the money, he wouldn't have given the cashier's check.
So after 2 hours, he kind of called him back and.
Yeah, he tried. He told me he predicted this has been going on already a long time. He doesn't. Yes.
Whenever you say the rule that whenever you owe someone money, these are the things you always say owe someone money. But the example you're giving is the case it's not where he took a loan and he owes him money because he did work.
The same halacha.
Loan, work.
Doesn't
the
same
damage
same
you
halacha.
get. You get in a car accident with someone.
No, mazik is different. No, mazik is different. Yeah, but no. That's a very good question what he asked. Let me explain what he's asking. I took a loan. You have to give everything away. You work for someone, and the guy has to do everything to pay back. If you are a mazik b'shoygig, the bezdin has a right to say, "Well, wait, the guy has no money now. He doesn't have to give." That's a din. I think almost everyone agrees that's din that when the guy you can't take everything away by mazik. It's built on the Gemara. But when you work for the guy, and the guy took a loan, you have to do everything to pay him back the money.
What about there is a commandment lo tiyeh kenoshe, right? So if somebody owes you money, doesn't have the money, there's halacha.
So the Rab says, the Alter Rebbe says in Shulchan Aruch, very important. Lo tiyeh kenoshe means the law. Lo tiyeh kenoshe means after he gave you everything, he left himself one shirt, one pants, and none of the furniture. And he lives in who knows where, and then you're not allowed to be Genosha. But as long as he drives a car, and I once, a Rav calls me up, and he says, I met the guy who owes me money in Kmart, in our neighborhood there's a Kmart, and he says, asking, no, you owe me $5,000. He says, what happened to Laniya Sieloi Kenosha? The Rabbi says, I was a little shaken back, maybe he's right. He says, I said, but what car did he came? He tells me the name of the car, I forgot the name. He says, tell him that he has to give you the car. You could take the public transportation. You know what I mean? Like a person, there's a very important halacha. Many people don't realize that. You owe money for someone, you have to make sure you pay back. Okay. So
when does the Sila Kedusha apply?
after you gave everything you have, that's when the Sila Kenosha applies. That means the guy said, You said you gave him every sefer you have at home, every bookshelves,
You could attack the
every day in shul. Where's the money? Exactly.
We learn this together. We learn this in the beginning of the
Yeah.
question.
I have told people, young people make this mistake. They get married and have money and they give out a loan. So someone in the shul did this. He gave a guy $25,000, and the guy, says only 6 months. So I know what 6 months. Anyone in business knows already. When a guy comes to you, so I told him every day you should call him up and his wife up and leave a message. You need your money. I don't know why that works all the time. It just works. You call him up and you call his wife up. And it worked. It took 3 weeks. No. It worked.
He could borrow the 25,000 from the pay.
I don't know. I'm just saying, always works. Always worked. So last week a guy tells me, unfortunately there are people who just say, I need for one day the money, to clear a check, and then that one day becomes 10 years. The guy tells me, a guy came to him, and this guy's a shrewd businessman. He says, I need $20,000 just for one day to clear. Mamish, guy says, he looks at the checkbook, right today, I think it might bounce, come tomorrow. The guy came tomorrow, he says, I need it for one day. I thought you only need one day. The day passed. Didn't you say yes in the morning, you were nervous, things are going to bounce. Then you said you wanted that. Because usually when a guy says, I need it for one day, it's not one day. And the Rav says, and a person who lies that when he takes a loan is a ganov. Oh, very, very important. When a guy says to you, I need it for one day, he really didn't need it for one day. And he's, I've said often about that, he's called mamish a ganov. People don't realize this, yes.
Suppose you contract with somebody to do a job for you. You pay him money up front, and the guy doesn't do the job. And you even know from what he's done that he never could have done the job. It's basically
The ganov. Same thing.
the
Same ganov.
the same.
If he couldn't do the job and he said he will do the job and took the money from you, he's a ganov. Now, there's nothing you can do, just get the money back. Did he pay back the money?
No. But can you go back to him in the same way, saying you owe me the money? That
Every day you should call him and his wife.
Same obligation to sell everything to you.
Didn't we learn
Yes.
that if he's a ganav, that you could actually go into his house and take
A
it?
ganov, you're allowed, well, it's,
Right? Wasn't there a distinction between whether it was a loan?
That was the article. Here he doesn't have the article.
not sure. I think a ganov, I think there's an opinion, I have to look it up again. There is an opinion that it's only by loan, if you work, but a guy literally stole money from you, then you're allowed to go after him in the house too. Yeah, I just hope there's some lawyers here to protect us. I once got up in public and said that you're allowed to kill a molester. So a lawyer says to me, middle, Rabbi, do not say it in public, because someone does it, you're going to be blamed for it. Right? True?
Not necessarily.
No. Okay, at least.
He's the right guy to say it. Can we get that right? Don't say that simple. Don't say it.
Okay. So that's me.
What if the guy, one last question, what if the guy hired somebody to do a job, the guy did the job, did, according to the agreement that he had with the guy previously, but the guy that received the job decides, I don't want to pay the guy, let me just say that I'm not happy with the job, I'll keep the job, and I'm going to call him a ganov. Then it's a bad thing, right?
That happens, yeah. That happens to every contractor. You're a contractor?
No, but...
That happens to every contractor. Every contractor has this problem. People don't want to pay and they find excuses. He didn't do the right thing and he didn't. So a contractor told me, you know what he does? He comes to the house and he sits down and he doesn't leave till he gets paid. So I spoke to a from contractor because this is a quite common problem. He does it if he doesn't finish the job. He leaves odds and ends, which only he could fix, till the guy pays the final money.
So in that case, the other guy is the ganov.
It's not. He waits till he gets paid. When you pay me the whole money, then I'll come fix all these things that need to be fixed. Because unfortunately, people do this. And I don't need it from people. Secular people do the same thing. You told me.
Yeah, I've heard many.
Yes.
What
Big
is
question.
does secular law affect this? According to the law, if someone doesn't have a license, a contractor's license, and they do construction work, you legally don't have to pay them.
This was a huge din Torah between two Persians. You know about this story? They're talking about $28 million. And the guy hired a lawyer, and he was, whatever, he thought he was going to make more money. It was very complicated. And he thought he was going to come to the Torah with a Tayan, who knows how to learn something, and claim this in Bezdin, that legally, since he wasn't licensed, he wasn't wanted to do it, so Mamela, and not have to pay him. He used to perjury, and Piram Torahs. I don't know what he wanted. No such a thing in the Torah. He did the job, so he couldn't, he couldn't even show that nothing was not perfect. No one complained. None of he built the condos in Beverly Hills, and he did it under someone else's license, but it's also illegal. Whatever it was. The bottom line is the Torah says he has to. It's the halacha does nothing to do with the halacha. They do it. Does not. Dina Malchisadina. I once explained it here. I'm going to explain it again. The Dina the Malchisadina can never tell us what's right and what's wrong. What's right and wrong, we have a Torah. Otherwise, everyone would have to learn the Constitution, the state Constitution, the city ordinance, and who knows what. There's no such a thing. Dina Malchisadina says that if there's a kinyan, if it's not a kinyan, but such things. But if the Torah says, like the deal is a deal, just because they have a law, and the law is midas Saddam, because there is a law, the way tell me if it's true, if he doesn't have a contract, he illegally, he doesn't have to pay, and he has to pay him back with
Even if you went in intentionally knowing.
Right. Even though the guy also knew.
Right.
This is like a midas Saddam. Then for sure not. But even it wouldn't be so.
A similar story, not on that.
But let me just finish. But the halacha is that they made a deal. He followed through. Just because Dina Malchisadina says there's nothing to do. The only time Dina Malchisadina, that Srs10 says has a power, is to facilitate business. For instance, the government, like the famous simple case is, it used to be that for whoever took a loan first, he has the first lien. Today it doesn't work that way. You have to record it. If I gave him a loan and I didn't record it, and he gave him a loan late and he recorded, his loan will be first. Even though Halacha says different, is the reason they have this is because people don't talk about loans anymore like they used to facilitate business. That's the only time. But if it's nothing facilitating, he talks about there was a franchise, it's called in English, where there's a city, they're only allowed to have, the government had a right to control who owns a butcher shop. And it was done because otherwise people, to make sure that the butchers make money otherwise. So he talks about selling the rights. So that he also agrees. Dina Malchisadina was made up and make sure there should be butchers in town. That's why it's Chal, the Dina Malchisa. But if it's just like funny laws that doesn't. What did you say? Then
I know a case like that with a handyman who also was doing a job for one of these Persian guys that was building a house over here on Wall Street. So this is exactly what happened. He did the whole job for the guy. When he finished, not only did the Persian guy not pay him, but they took him to court, and in the end, the handyman guy who did the whole job had to pay this guy $5,000 because they claimed that he made some sort of damage to the foundation or this and that, and it wasn't under a license and this and that, and it was classic, exact same story. And in the end, he was like lucky to get away with only having to pay this guy $5,000 after doing the job for him for all these months.
yeah. That's yeah.
But in a case like that, he's actually done damage to the property.
But if you don't damage, it's not the license, not license. Licensed people also do damage. There's nothing to do. But anyways, and the truth is, let me just tell you, and then it's very clear that when a person takes a non-license, he knows he's not licensed. And that's why he got a cheaper deal. This case where I was involved, he knew he wasn't licensed. You know, he doesn't know. That's also came in Torah, and the Klela he knew. But, you know, he tried to explain that the legal, like he said, legal law doesn't make a difference. I knew it, didn't know. You're not allowed to work for me. You're not allowed to do the work. I don't have to pay you. So that's called Midas Saddam. That doesn't make sense in Allah. Okay. We're up to Tezayin, everybody side. Yeah, I finished this with Tezayin. Up to Tezayin. Now let me explain what we're talking about. Hilchos Ribis, and our discussion over here is if a guy, you know, sells something, and because of waiting to get, the question is if it's called Ribis or not. Ribis means because I get the money now, I'm going to wait for being paid, so I'm charging you interest. That's the, so he says, there's again, let me explain what happened. A guy, we talked about Srs10, we talked about the problem now, pays him money ahead of time, and for that reason, he's going to give him cheaper work. Like you just said a case, guy says, you know what, I'll paint this room. Pay me now. Normally it's $1,000. I'll take $800, or you know what I mean, and I'll start painting in 6 months from now. Really, it's a loan. You're going to start painting in 6 months. Why am I giving you now the money? The reason I'm giving you the money now because you need a loan. And what are you going to pay me back? You're going to pay me back work $1,000, $200 plus. So that is Ribis. So the Rav says that's called Ribis Derabanan because it's not, we explained this last week, but this is the problem of Ribis. But if he starts working immediately, he's going to paint today, instead of getting paid at the end of the work, he's going to pay him ahead, he's going to give it cheap, but that's okay. That's what you guys talked about the computers. That all this applies. The Schiris buys, renting a house, or leasing a car. Now this also happens. You know, people have. I wrote a document once to someone. Already this way, he paid ahead of time 10 months rent because the guy was desperate for money. So a guy, if that means like this. Normally, this was the case. I was involved. I think it was $2,000 a month rent. And the guy said, if you can give me the next 10 months of rent, I'll make it much cheaper. Because this guy needed cash. Terrible, he was in a terrible situation, the owner of the property. So anyways, you're allowed to do it. Why? Because besides he was living in the apartment, let's say I would not be living yet in the apartment. I'll be moving in 5 months like the painting. Because you could be koine schiris karka now for later. You know what that means? That means if I make a kinyan now, that in 6 months I'll rent this house from you, the kinyan it takes effect now. I was koine, what?
Just karka?
Well, yeah, because only karka can't make a kinyan on a person. But
Outline, could you do that same
no, you
thing?
can't. It's not ba'olam. The karka is ba'olam. The betaltem, it doesn't exist. You can do the same in betaltem. It's true. If you have a car, I could pay you now, and in 6 months from now, I'll give it to me. But if fruit, the Gemara says you can't do that because it's not here. So here, the property is here. In 6 months from now, I was coining now with a kinyan that was next 6 months. The next 6 months is going to be. I could prepay you and get a cheaper price, even though the reason he's doing it, the guy needs a loan. Because when I paid him, I was koine immediately the next 6 months of rent. You understand what I'm saying? So even though the apartment is going to be vacant in 6 months, and I may give him money now for the 6 months, for the next 6 months. You understand? But it's the kinyan could be chal now.
Predicated on you occupying it basically immediately?
No, he's not. Someone is living there for the next 6 months. But the kinyan could be chal for afterwards.
That's okay.
That's okay.
Now, what constitutes a kinyan? I'll give you an
Oh,
example.
kesev, chazukah, chalipim.
So I'll give you an example. You have a lot of times rental car companies have, let's say you're making a car reservation for a month from now. And they'll say, you know what, if you 25% off. I want to, by typing in a computer, put your credit card information, is that considered a Kenyan?
There's no chal on anything. There's no car, it's not chal on any car. There's a chal on
So I'm
something.
saying if it was a Jewish, let's say, for example, they don't do, let's say they rent it to a Jewish car rental company, would it be a problem?
I think it would be a problem because and which car was it chal?
It's not, right? It's just
Right, it's a theoretical.
Yeah, you don't know which car.
I went to New York and I rented from it was Avis, and they did not have the car what I rented. Oops, it's we don't know. Okay, we're giving you an upgrade because they didn't have the car what I wanted. It was mazel because I got a bigger car. No, I'm renting a car. I want a car, and I told them what type of car because I needed for the luggage and whatever, and they didn't have this. No problem, and everything is okay. It was a week before we left, but legally, I asked someone. They can. It's if you read the contract, they don't even have to give you that car. They have to give. They give you. Have to give you an upgrade. I don't know if they have to, but they should give you upgrade. You shouldn't be disappointed. It has to be chal on the object. Correct.
You have a problem if you buy an airline ticket on LO 3 months from now. What are you buying? It's a Jewish company. What are you buying from?
You're not getting a discount for it unless they offer you a discount.
You don't get a discount.
Don't buy the
Saving tickets.
You don't get a discount. They just the last week they charge you 10 times the price, but that's not a discount. If you want to buy the last week, that's when they know that that's how it works. They know that you're desperate for the last minute, but it's not a discount.
So you can have a Kenyan on the future?
Well, that's a chiddush. It's a mchlek Rishonim, and many Rishonim hold from this Gemara that you could make a kinyan on karka in future, only karka again. Yeah, it's something that exists.
On Paris?
Peiris you can't. That's Peiris says dush lebeloilam.
No, but Paris that exists like sugar.
Well, it's not talking about the well. It's
Well,
exists.
getting back to our scenario before with it, where it's a service that you're buying from somebody, person, that's not something that you'd be able to do.
You can't enslave a person. So it's not chal. We said it last week.
Unless he starts to work.
Unless it starts to work. Okay. Okay. Imakne lo lizman schirusa miyad shekibel memeni yamuas me'acha b'darke knush aschiris nikas behem and a kinyan that schiris is koine shal yuchar echa lachs b'minadin. No one could change their mind. Kambayis b'chazuka. It's interesting that Rav says chazuka because we in Chosh Mishpat we pass and you can make a kinyan chalipen and even kesef. One opinion. Behem v'kelim b'mishicha. Behem v'kelim must make a mishicha. Behem v'kelim is not chal, but see here, dina de malchisa will help. If the dina de malchisa will facilitate, like today everything is credit card and everything is on the computer, and I could imagine that I don't know the laws, but dina malchisa will say that if you you gave the credit card to Avis, they must have a car for you. You know what I mean? Maybe Dina Mechisa Dina will take away Ribis. If that's the din, they must give you a car, I'll imagine. Is that the law? What happens if Ribis?
Some people walk, it's like if you take airlines, they'll overbook a flight, and they'll try to buy people off to give up a seat if you overbook. But if they don't have seats in the plane, nobody gives it up. The guy comes, doesn't get a seat. Where's he in?
No, but there's a whole rules. They must pay you. They not just pay you back. They even 20 years ago, they used to pay you back and give you extra a ticket.
But a ticket isn't actually a seat on a plane. If you read the fine print, it's actually a form of currency that you're exchanging when you actually check in. And you
Okay, that's where the lawyers, the lawyers need to make money. If it's not the law, then it wouldn't be chal. I'm saying if that was the law. If El Al is a Jewish airline, it's owned by the government, owned private. Private.
In every the government will make. What about you mentioned a case where somebody prepays 10 months worth of rent? Let's say a guy prepays, or a landlord, or an owner of the property money, makes a deal, prepay me 10 months worth of rent. And the renter doesn't know that the guy's really, his finances are worse than revealed. He's actually about to lose the property. The property's gonna get repossessed 2 months from now, 3 months from now. So now, you know, you have a renter who's paid 10 months worth of rent, and 3 months from now, the sheriff is gonna come and kick him out.
No, he can't kick you out. He can't. No.
Police prevails?
Yes.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, no, I know that for a
Okay.
fact. Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
People are
But if it wouldn't, the guy was, people have done this. This is a guy does such a thing is called, he knows that if it be like you're saying, he's a thief.
That's what I said.
Yeah. Okay. And I must have said the story once here, but I'll say it again. A doctor came to me a few years ago. I didn't know, he taught me a new thing, that doctors have incredible good credit because they have no place to run and they have a good business. So he has, each credit card he could get $50,000 cash. This goes back about 10 years ago. $50,000 cash in each credit card. So a guy came over to him and says that I need $100,000 and you can give me $100,000, I'll pay you, with the heteriska and everything. And what are you going to get? You're going to get an incredible amount of mileage. Incredible amount of mileage. So he came to me, asked me, the doctor, that he doesn't know if the mileage is in Ribis. I explained the mileage is not Ribis. We later learn why. It's nothing to do, mileage not Ribis. But
the interest though.
the interest made a heteriska. So I told him, I want to tell you something, doctor. If a guy is coming to you and he needs a loan and is willing to pay you the interest from the credit card, which is incredibly high, that means the banks are not giving him the loan, he's desperate, then he's in trouble. That's all I'm telling you. No. Oh, shut up. So 6 months later, I meet him at Kiddush, and he comes, Rabbi, I owe you one. What happened? He came home and told his wife, and wife said, it makes sense. Why does he need all of a sudden such a high interest? So we never gave him the loan. 6 weeks later, he went bankrupt. And he says the $100,000 would have gone with it. So, as a mitzvah to give a loan, I don't want you guys to think there's a great mitzvah to give a loan, but there's a great mitzvah not to be a fool neither. Both. There's a mitzvah to give a loan. You got to know. You have to know how,
So the doctor gave him $100,000? No. Maybe that's why he went bankrupt.
Not the doctor.
No, I'm saying had he got his $100,000 loan, maybe the guy would have still been in
The
business.
guy, he found out later, he told me, everything trades on the internet. The guy was in big tzoros. He just was buying time. Anyone in business know these things. They're just buying. It depends how we once spoke about it. Depends how the loan was made. If it was made a personal loan, then it's not. But if you made it as a personal loan, the bankruptcy does not take it away. But if you made it on legal papers for the company, then it's
But naming it is a different question because there may be reason to name it. I mean, I'm not a bankruptcy attorney, but
no, I'm talking halacha, nothing to do with
Right,
bankruptcy.
no.
Halacha. If the guy says I'm giving you a personal loan, I don't know anything about your business, giving you a loan, then bankruptcy does not. Halacha does not do it. Take it.
But naming it, which doesn't affect halacha, it may improve something about.
Yeah.
the way that the
There's
bankruptcy
something.
is done.
Okay. Anyways, api sheni maschel shtamish boy ad lachas man, like we said, ene dume samus nere kalvua. That's not called a loan. Ele dume pri schiresi. That means he prepaid the rental. It's his already. That means he made a kinyan, let's say kinyan chazaka, kinyan sudar. Sudar means you pick up a pen, you make a kinyan. So that means the rental, the 6 months from now, is his already. So he's paying now, I'm prepaying. I'm allowed to prepay my rent. Nothing wrong. He says, that it gives it cheaper for the end. He bought something now. This is the chiddush. When he prepaid you the rent, he didn't give you a loan. He bought the next 6 months of rent from you. So that's why he's allowed to do it.
That's if you move in the same day.
No. Even if you don't, that's what he's saying. This applies because
It's just because you can move in, even if you move in 6 months.
You're right, because he bought.
A year in advance.
Because I was koina the rental for this property in 6 months from now. Let's say Rosh Chodesh Nisan. From Rosh Chodesh Nisan, I'm renting this place. I was now Rosh Chodesh Nisan, this is now mine already. It's chal, because even though Nisan is not here, so the Rishonim explained, but the house is here. So it's not called a duva shloi buloilo. You know, when duva shloi buloilo is something that doesn't exist. I cannot buy next year's fruit. It doesn't exist. But I could buy the rent in 6 months, is because the house exists.
So therefore it's not really.
It's not ribis.
What about on a condo project, where people would put deposits even before it's born?
That is a problem. That's a real problem.
They're buying the land, something is there.
Well, no, sometimes no. They're not buying the land.
Project, you don't buy land.
You don't buy land,
You don't
no.
get a little percentage of the land of the.
No.
Percentage of the building.
Of the air.
That is a problem.
But
Condo
they
is
do
a,
this in Israel all the time. They start a building.
they do it at the risk.
You're not getting a discount for years.
They do it at the risk. I've seen it.
No, it's not about a discount.
No, you do. They will get a discount.
Discount.
Of course they do it at it.
That discount's not a problem. That's what the rest
They you prepay and you get an incredible discount. I have a friend who did it.
Whoever wants to build with your money, not his.
What if it's not an if the point is not discount? Like in some cases, you know, like, when the condo craze was going on back in whatever, 2008, people would line up, they would sleep at night, you know, overnight to get in first thing in the morning to get their deposit down because it was such a craze. So it's not shot that you're getting a discount necessarily, just you're locking something in theoretically, but essentially what you're doing is you're giving a loan to the builder. He's taking your money and he's using it, and then he's delivering you a product.
Why is that
down the line?
What he's delivering to you.
Understand what happened. There's a price. I mean, we'll learn later. I mean, the problem of Ribis is always when they're selling this. The finished product is going to cost $1 million. If you prepay, you're going to get it for $800,000.
Okay.
But otherwise, karka, there's no Ribis later on property.
Any value.
Because karka is any nula karkus. There's no Ribis in karka.
So what about by the kids' school when they pay in April?
So you guys asked me last week. The what?
But the point is, that Rabbi, it's only if you're getting it at a discount. If I can pay my tuition up front, I'm not getting a discount.
Yeah, for sure.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's only if you're getting, I can pay for apples up front, it's only if you're getting a discount. Right.
Well, what was the question with the school again? No, someone said, what was the question with the school?
You get a if you pay early, you get a discount. More than you owe or something like that.
The school was, if you prepay, before the school begins working for the next year, you get a discount.
The school's nowadays, if you pay 6 months in advance, you get 10% off. If you pay in cash,
That's a problem.
But you're getting something when school starts.
You're not getting anything right now.
School supplies? No, of course. You're getting
You pay now for next year, you get nothing for it.
Pay now. If they start working on it, they start working on next year, the class lists, whatever, they start working on the curriculum for the following year, then it's not that much work overall.
They start working right away.
I mean, that school is.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Rabbi, is there a problem with restocking fees?
What does that mean?
It means that the customer might buy something, and he returns it. Once he returns it to me, I'm charging him 15% for returning the item.
Correct.
So is that a kind of interest?
No interest. It's business.
It's about service.
It's a service.
People would buy laptops, they go on a business trip, and then they'd be done, they return the laptop. So all the stores got smart, they said, it's a 15% restocking fee. So now it's $150, it wasn't worth, just to get the laptop for 1 week. That's how they also return, really.
We used to do that with
Someone that you know.
Go look at air conditioning in Walmart in the Catskills. I think it's only Walmart in the Catskills, the only Walmart that does take returns on air conditioning. So I think we're in the country.
Doesn't take any
Any
returns.
returns, because the people would buy and they would return after the summer. It was a rental program.
No, but people ask me, someone asked me this, if it's not a Chil Hashem, they say, someone brought me many years ago about this Walmart, it says very clearly, you can return it without any questions. Used, not used, they say clearly. They don't,
Is it Geneva Stas?
it's Don't get that. They say you could return it for any.
You know going into it that.
They say to you, you could return
Why
it.
they do that?
Because most people don't.
No, they do because it doesn't cost the store anything. Everything you return to the store goes back to the vendor.
Okay, it doesn't
The
make a
vendor's
difference.
the guy who's out the money in the end.
Okay, doesn't make a difference. But they, but they, and let me explain. Halacha, they say to you, I remember if you could get it on the internet, probably. I remember reading the contract. I wanted to see. It says clearly you could return it for any reason. You like it or whatever reason, without question. I mean, and Tadeka don't. I was told. I was told you come in. They don't ask any questions why you're returning. That's their policy. No. But over there, they saw that it was.
Too many people are.
Yeah, so that's the only store on the. It's not they did an avla. They offered their service. That
Wedding, getting a dress for a wedding and returning it.
but that's only Walmart has it. If you buy Walmart dress, you can return it.
Keep the dress. Keep the dress. It's a good move, trust me.
Nordstrom, my wife buys it from Nordstrom, even though it's the most expensive, because you can do this.
That's a better question. What happens if you buy
But they say you have to be not
No, but I tell you, that if I don't know, other stores, I was told other stores does not write that. They say clearly if you are not unhappy, you have to see what they write. Yeah, you have to have a reason. The other stores, Walmart was known to say clearly across the board. Most stores did not say that. You tell them, you tell them I just need it for one night. They're not going to sell it to you. Walmart couldn't say that we don't care. Use it one night, bring it back, we don't care. But other stores they don't have this policy.
45 days.
Okay, whatever, so those stores don't have.
The store that have that who say clearly I don't care, used it, didn't use it, whatever.
45 days
Yeah.
return policy straight.
Yeah, for no reason.
No reason.
You just on electronics.
Everything else you can return whenever you want.
Yeah.
I'm like 5 years later, you can return it.
I bought a bunch of booze, didn't have any use for it, brought it back. 6 months later, they just rang it right up.
Right? Okay. But this is important what you said. Other stores who don't have the policy, you're not allowed to do that. That's Genevis Das of a guy. Okay. People do this, like you just said. People take it by dress and for one night and take it back. That's not allowed. Okay. Okay, let's move on. He says, you pay me now the rent, is for 10. He mamish is allowed to say 2 prices. We're going to learn, but most items you can't say 2 prices. You can't say, let me start this way. In our neighborhood, there's a Josh Exxon. What is it? It used to be Exxon or whatever. It's changed it. And his daughter became from. Babish tried to make it from anyways. So there was a sign. Cash is 1 price, and that is. We'll later learn that's a problem. Ribis. Now I'll tell you later why there's a heter for it. But if your guy comes in and says cash 1 price, and if you don't pay cash, there's another price, then there's a problem of Ribis, normally. Right? I'll explain why later today it's not such a problem. Because those days was, you pay me cash now, it's 1 price. If I have to wait for you 2 weeks, it's going to be a different price. That's Ribis. I'm waiting 2 weeks. See, the reason why it's not a problem in the store, because you have to pay with the credit card. The reason they don't want, because they lose money on the credit card, then they got to process it. Someone's got to go to the bank. It's a whole...
And not only that, the credit card company takes.
That's what it says. They lose money on it. So that's why it's not like he's going to be waiting. He's really not waiting. You get the money, but it's the whole thing.
In that equation, it might be that you're receiving the same amount.
Like about the same thing. And even that's not, even maybe but the bottom line is he could get the money right away. He could go to the bank right away and get the money. Today, as someone told me already, you can get it ready today, and if you have connect to the bank, it goes automatic. It's a new program.
It depends how much.
Yeah, you have to have it depends. Today, if you're big clients, they do it immediately. The big stores have it immediately. But it doesn't make a difference. They still have a right because it's processing and all this. But if it wouldn't be all that, it would be just price. For now, cash is one price. Waiting 2 weeks is another price. The waiting 2 weeks is a problem of Ribis. So here is not a problem. Why is it not a problem? Because here I moved in right now. And normally you don't pay rent only afterwards. So the truth, the rent price is really what normally you pay rent at the end of the month. And at times of the Gemara. So maybe you pay the end of the month, that's the real price. So when I paying you less in the beginning, you gave it to me cheaper, not as it charging me. That's the value. When he pays now, okay, that's how he explains it. This is a Gemara. This is a straight the Gemara with the sugya that by rental you're allowed to do this. Now this all helps. That all helps before we made a kinyan. What happens? We signed the lease already. I'm moving in the Chodesh Nisan, and we made a kinyan, and then we start bargaining. Then we're in trouble already. You understand? Because that means the kinyan was chal for the price, and if I tell you now, you give me the ahead time money, so then you're paying me now. It's Ribis, he says. But if I tell you, we made a kinyan now, and then I say, you know what, you don't have to pay me now ahead of time. I could wait. So then that waiting is Ribis. Once you made a kinyan that no one could change his mind, that means very simple. Once you made a kinyan that the price of the rent is so and so, and it's $1,000 a month, we made a kinyan, and then he says, you know what, if I have to wait for you at the end of the month, I'm going to charge you extra $200, that's Ribis, obviously. The Rav says maybe it's even also Teure. Since he pays him more, so maybe it's an Isra Raisa. Okay.
When he says here Ribis Gemara, does that mean it's not?
He's mesupik if it's Ribis Gemara. He calls it Ribis Menat Teure. You see, Shus Menat Teure. Yeah.
That means Ribis Gemara.
Ribis Teure Raisa.
That'll be a right what happened before.
Yeah, the Ribis Gemara means.
No, before he's saying Ribis Gemara.
Yeah, but Gemara and Teure means.
But he's saying. It says Efshar she'asu min Torah.
Right. You see.
So it means that Ribis Gemara he's down and all that for Ribis Gemara not says min Torah.
It is no. Gemara normally means Ribis. You see later the Rav says again the same thing. He doesn't use the word Torah. He uses like Gemara. The words Torah, Gemara, you see later, goes back and forth. The same thing over here, he says Mesupik, and a minute later he repeats the same halacha, and he doesn't even use that words. The Raisa, he's Mesupik, maybe it's Osam and Torah. Efsha, this one is Usam and Torah. The Rav, it's Machlokes in the Paiskim, the Rav says it's a Sufik. Maybe it's even an Issa Raisa, this Ribis. Even though it started with Schiris, but maybe this type of a Ribis will be also, since you became obligated, and now you're forwaiting it, we'll see later the words.
You can re-find a place.
You could mevatel the kinyan and say that we make,
But they will have to both consent.
both consent for that. Correct. That's the problem.
But there wouldn't be a separate kinyan when he enters the residence, even though he already made a kinyan?
Well, once there's a kinyan, you don't need another
So you
kinyan.
make the kinyan, then 6 months later you move in, and when you're moving in, you say, if I pay up front, I'll...
You have to mevatel, you have to be moichel each other, you have to mevatel the kinyan. No.
How do you do that just verbally?
Just verbally say mevatel the kinyan. Yeah, you have to mevatel the kinyan, it doesn't work just. Okay, but chein usa, this is an interesting thing. You know, the good old days when you had to marry off a daughter, this was a real problem. In many places, girls have a very hard time getting married. And that's I tell people, that's part of the klala, the chavagat. So the klul is niskal chava. Anyway, so in the good old days, you had to give a dowry. And many people couldn't afford it. So they said, okay, we'll make a kinyan, I owe you the money. And then time to pay, he couldn't pay. So he says, you know what, we'll pay interest on it. So imagine in Shulchan Aruch, a whole talk, it used to happen, that the chassan refused to go to the chuppah because the dowry was not paid. And it would be postponed. And the guest came already, there is no wedding tonight. There was a famous wedding, I wasn't there, but many people know about this. So the Mechatonim were arguing for 2 hours who should walk down the Chassan Kala. One family had a meeting, the father and the mother, the other one had the two fathers. They were arguing for 2 hours. So, I wasn't, I came after I didn't know that I was wondering when I came what was going on. But, it's, people argue on such insignificant things. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes, does it matter? Just a minute.
For them it matters.
No, I'm asking. According to Allah, does it matter?
there's rayas that the meaning was, in the Medrash says clearly that the father and mother walks down the chazan. In the Zohar, not just the Medrash. The Zohar says very clearly that the father and mother walk down the chazan column. But the meaning not always was that way. So, just saying. So, from Manhagim. I tell people, I want to tell people like this, when they come ask me, always this different Manhagim, I always tell them a story of my parents. My parents got married after the war, Holocaust survivors. And there was just a minyan at the wedding. What do you think the Kala did the day of the wedding? She was making sure there was chickens, salting. My mother was salting the chickens for her own wedding that night. I just married her for a daughter. She was busy with the makeup and the collar dress and who knows what that she was busy with. But those days, and there was no music. And my mother borrowed Chassan Eklait from the shiksa in the village. And there was just a minyan and nothing. Just they made it in a house, the whole wedding. So I tell people, I wish everyone should have such shalom bayis my parents had. They had an unbelievable shalom bayis, my parents. But my friend tells me that he's from Antwerp. And Antwerp, 30 years ago, there was a wedding. 30 years ago, the wedding costed $1 million. He was a Meshunadi Goisha, and he was a famous chess player. And the whole wedding was about chess. The tablecloths, special made from chess boards, and everything was chess. Hussein Talik came into the wedding through a boat. $1 million, 30 years ago. The wedding lasted 8 months. So I always tell people there's nothing to do. There's going to be a batchen, and there was arguing. Yes, be a batchen, or yes, a mitzvah tans, not a mitzvah tans, nothing to do.
Talking about the walking it down, the parents walking each of their children down. You said that's for the Zohar?
That's what it says in Zohar.
So why is it that it's something they don't do that way? I heard also
That your parents?
the Garari family doesn't have it.
I don't know. It's just two minhagim. And the meaning to walk the parents is also old meaning that the two fathers walk down. Both are mentioned, but in the Zohar it says very clearly.
How do they do it in Lakewood these days?
Depends who does it. There's no official. No, there's no official.
Is walking down an aisle a Jewish thing?
The goyim stole it from the Jews. Do you know? I have someone in my community who wrote an article. You know that in England 500 years ago, you know what a marriage meant? We pronounce you husband and wife, and it would bang on the pots. That's it. There was no, and they stole everything from the Jews: the ring, the gown, walking down. They took everything from the Jews. What? No. וכן אוסל habes benedinius chasanam acha shenasa choiv alavia kala. The father of the kala, now the choiv has to be chal. That means he made a kinyan. That's what you make the. People don't know the Tanoim. I want to say something about the Tanoim. Do respect to Lubavitch. The Tanoim used to be made all the time. It was made ahead of time. The way it's written, the old Nusach. The reason they made a Tanoim was a very simple thing. Let me explain the whole Tanoim because it's a total misunderstood. What happened was, in the good old days, a chassan would be Kaddish the Kala. He made a Kedushin. And 12 months later, he married her. So there was a separate Kedushin, a separate marriage. The ring that we give under the chuppah was the Kedushin. So that's why he gave the girl a ring. And she was an Ashes Ish, but not his wife yet. The wedding, they wrote just was the Ksuba and the Sheva Brachas and the meal. That's what it was. The reason this was a problem, the Jews in history, Tosis writes that the Jews used to live at the borders. There was no, the Goyim didn't have commerce, international commerce. What was the international commerce? The Jews. I know you, you know me. So the Jews always lived above. Very often the borders became closed and they couldn't go over. It was a disaster, the agunas. So they made a tikkun normal kedushin. So they just got engaged. The chassan met a nicer girl and he got married and she's waiting over there. They couldn't text her, it's all over. And a guy told me, the girl texted today, it's all over. So I said, what's the question? She texts you. Those days, it didn't work that way. So the Kala Nebuch is waiting. She's waiting the guy to, so they made a chedem. So they made a Tanoim, that anyone who breaks the Tanoim, there was no communication. She's preparing their dresses and who knows what, and he's preparing here, and all of a sudden, so they made a chedem. And so that's what the whole Tanoim was all about. And they used to say it's better to get married in the divorce than to get the Tanoim. Yeah, I'm saying why? Because if people who broke the Tanoim, the Mamish saw Yad Hashem. Mamish, it was unbelievable. Mamish punishment, abnormal punishment. Person broke a Tanoim, it was known to be that terrible. So now in America, that stopped. Live who knows how far, what's going on. And, it wasn't like, all of a sudden, no one knows. So they want to write the Tanoim. But in the regular Tanoim, he says, you read the Tanoim, I asked Rabbi with all due respect, and he said to me, you read the Tanoim, it's a joke. We will make a day for the wedding, and the chussan will come, and the chussan is here. The wedding and the date is here, when you will. What? Yeah, but in the Nusach side, we will get married, and you read the Nusach? Oh. So the Moshe Feinstein went, and he changed the Nusach. The Moshe went to change the Nusach, and it says already the Chos and Kala are both here. They were both are committed to the wedding, and right in that no one is going to cheat each other with the money, and the Chassan is now and do it. You can't, because you can't write a star which is a shaker. In the Gemara it says you're not allowed to sign, and there's one mandum that says that if it's pre-written the ksuba, you shouldn't do it. One mandum, we don't pass it that way, but one mandum is mechzik shikra. We don't, or if you predate a ksuba, there's one opinion that says you shouldn't do it because mechzik shikra. How could Adam sign? It's not today's day. A coach the whole thing doesn't make sense. What does it mean? I will get married. If you look in the Tanoim, it says you will get married. Yeah, so the future. We're standing at the marriage already. There is a date. We're getting married.
So are you saying that Rabbi uses the older version?
The older version.
Not the newer. Yes.
The Moshe changed the version in America since they were on. Yes. But in the beginning, after the war, my older brother, when he got married, they still made a Tanoim. I remember the time was written. Then they stopped. Many Gedolim held that it's not Kedai. Everyone stopped today. They have the chuppah. So the Moshe was asked this. I remember this, and he changed the nusach. Can't write. The nusach. Take a look at it. You see, it says, "I will get married, and there will be a date, and the father will dress the kala, and the father will dress the chassan, will and."
So what's the?
Anyway, so over here, let me just finish this halacha. So a person had to get married, so they would make an dunya. And very often the dunya means the dowry. And this was a major problem. the father couldn't deliver the money that. Yeah. So it's marrying off a child is not easy. But the bottom line was that was the problem. He couldn't have the money, so he said, you know what? I can't bring you the money. Let's make it on interest. So it's Ribis d'Oraisa, because once you make the kinyan, you became obligated to give the dowry. Now you say if I don't pay on time, that's Ribis d'Oraisa. Even though there was no loan, there is no loan. There was a shibit. There was a. He says, "Im lo yishalom not usalit nerevich, im lo yishalom nezman peru maksubit nuim, v'ribis gemira shetoyrehi, ap b'she'ene b'shvil choiv shalavur." Even there's no loan. Later we're going to learn. He talks about how you can make it with a heter iska.
What does the custom do when he does it?
They used to do. You see in the Paiskim, they changed the nusach in the Nadanim. It says that if not, I'll be heter iska. You have to pay me.
Who changed the nusach?
No, this was the early, 200 years ago already to change it. Talking about a dowry, not talking about
Where did the Ribis come in here?
The father-in-law says the day of the wedding, you know what happened? The chosn says, I'm not going under the chuppah. The dowry was not paid. So the guy says, okay.
The what is not paid?
The nadam.
Oh, the nadunya. Okay.
The nadunya.
You don't even know the word anymore.
The nadunya. Well, Hebrew, it's nadunya, right? Nadunya. The nadunya was not paid. So the chosn said, I'm not going under the chuppah. So the father-in-law says, okay, I'll pay you ribis. For each week that I'm late, or each month that I'm late to pay you, I'll pay ribis. I mean, that's Ribis d'Oraisa. So you have to make it, I'll be heter iska. Very simple. The reason the Rav writes this Mechaber brings down, this was a story. This was going on in times of the Shulchan Aruch. You know, they couldn't agree and...
Nobody does it? Nobody does this anymore? Nobody gives the dowry anymore?
Baruch Hashem, I married off my daughter, I didn't have to give it out. I mean, I married off a lot of daughters. It's 5 daughters I married off already, so, you know, I would have to give it
If you
out.
want to get a son-in-law that lives in the mirror, you have to come with $1 million.
Who here got a nod? Did anyone get a nod in here? Right, you know, we use that.
No, not the mirror. I'm sorry, the brisker. If you want to marry a good brisker Talmud Chacham, it's $1 million.
Not
No.
I, Baruch Hashem, got a very good son-in-law. No. But from Lakewood. No, it doesn't make it. That's not. So,
True in Israel, with the Bnei Torah, you have to give them 2 apartments. One for them to live in and one for them to rent out. That's all these collectors that come to town collecting for the wedding. They're collecting for the wedding. You know what it costs to make a wedding in Israel? It's less than the airline ticket for them to come here. But they're really collecting for the apartments. That is the equivalent. It's like a dowry. It's the same thing.
yeah. Geen, we megen aangas niet meer. We kan nooit.
We got the Persians, we got the Israelis, who didn't we get that? As far as the
Geen we megen. Let's go. What did you say? Yes, sir? They don't do that, huh? I have no idea.
That's much better, it feels better.
But that wasn't a problem if they found someone else that would have liked.
That's more. They married more than one wife. No, one other woman, they didn't marry another one.
No, the reason this was, see, people don't understand that Tanoim became a historical thing that it was needed by the Ashkenazim. That's what Tosfos brings down, explains that what happened.
Before communication, everywhere, not only by Ashkenazim.
Yeah, but what happened was, see, the Ashkenazim lived always on the border between France and Germany, Hungary, Czech, Slovakia, Russian. The Jews always lived there, and that's was the business was import-export between each others. That's why, if you know history, that was the Kunis Arba Arutzis. That means that what happened was, it's kedai to know that because the Heter Iske was built in the Kunis Arba Arutzis. So what happened was, I don't know history well enough, but how it was divided, Europe. It was divided the division by 4 major countries.
Russia,
I remember 4 majors. So what they did was, they got together, all the G'doi Ador, I'm talking about the Zman Aprisha. This we're talking about 350 years ago.
So Heterisk was only 350?
But the Heterisk Ketoises mentions, they just refined it and made it. And that's when, the reason was, and that's when all the Tnoim they made them a lot of Tkunis they made, because this was major problems. And they made the Heterisk. You know what else they made? They made a list who did not pay his loans. And you know when they read it out the list? Between Ishtabach and Baruch Hu. This was in on Thai Ashkenaz. Poland Ashkenaz. Because you know why they did it? Because they saw it was a disaster. People were not paying the chayvus, so they wanted to make a stand, just so people should know that this person has not paid. There was no credit. How do we call it? Credit rating, credit card. So people bought. You came to eat it, and the guy never paid the guy back. And I asked him.
Someone bounces a check at you, you can hang it up in your store like you have these stores that do it.
Yes, if a guy is he doesn't pay you back, hang it up, and the people should see. Or I'm very annoyed. In our neighborhood, there was a guy who just kept on borrowing money from people and he doesn't pay back, and he did it again. And I was very annoyed that the Rabbi knew about it, that he does it, and he didn't make a public announcement. It's a public announcement. Now he's running from the law. But anyways, there are people. What? No, the guy. But the truth is, there's a din that's called a bar b'shisarab. You know what I mean?
What's the term?
What? A bar b'shisarab. See, let me quickly say a quick halacha, because many people don't know this. A guy called me up last week, and he says to me that he has a big business. Money is not there, but he had a guy who claims he knows how to do, how's it called, connecting all the computers, and he had problems. Network. And anyways, the guy worked a few weeks. He only caused them more problems. He gave him $10,000 and sent them away. So the guy. Another from guy calls him up and he says, he worked for you, very happy. I was happy. So, he didn't call him back. He didn't want to call back because he's a Lashon Hara. I told him, if you don't call him back and he hires the worker and he messes again, you are obligated to pay Dina Shemaim the money that he's going to lose. We spoke about this once. That means you are the one who knows that this guy does not know what he's doing, but he didn't take it because he's very wealthy, so he's going to make a big thing. He said, but this guy is going out to small-time people who can't afford it, and you, by being quiet, you don't speak up, there's a din shulchan aruch, din shmaim is mechuyev to pay. You're right, you could be, so people told me in my shul, but again, this is another case with dina mechus dina. So a lawyer explained to me the reason they have this law, because there are managers who will just lie. That's why they are, but it doesn't make a difference. You know the truth, you're mechuyev to say.
In most personnel offices, they only say this person worked here from this date to this date.
I know, I was told you can't say that. Legally you're not allowed, but apitoida, you have to say.
Larry, what I do is I never put it in writing. You make a phone call. Sometimes they send you a questionnaire like about the employee. Never put it in writing. Just call a person on the phone. Do it that way. That's your word.
But I'm just saying, but the Maisa, apitoida, you're mechuyev to say, because the guy's going to lose money on it.
Same thing goes for shidduch.
Same thing goes shidduch. See, depends what the shidduch is. If a guy wants to know, a lady asked me the other day, she knows that this guy he's got an anger problem. Says, you got to tell. They asked you to tell, because that affects the shalom bayis terribly.
If they don't ask you, why do they have to say?
I don't have to say, but there's nothing wrong if you do say, because that makes a marriage or breaks a marriage. A guy who's it's very difficult to live with a very angry person. So certain things, or the person is sick and the illness is something that he can't work. The guy's diabetic. This is diabetic is very difficult to live with a diabetic in every way. Then you're not. But if it's just because he had a hard childhood, then you're not allowed to say all these things. You're not allowed to. But if the guy asks you, tell me, did he have a rough teenage years? The guy has a right to know because he doesn't want to set. He thinks that if a boy has enough teenage years, he doesn't want the shidduch. There are people that way. Look at it this way. Okay, Rabbi say.
Right.